Everything looked normal until that night. The house was quiet, just like every other evening. The lights were warm, the dinner plates still on the table, and the soft hum of music filled the background. From the outside, her life looked perfect, stable, peaceful, untouched by chaos. She had everything most people wished for. A beautiful home, a respected family name, and a future already carefully planned out for her. But perfection can be deceiving, because behind that calm, behind the routine, there was something no one else could see. A secret, and his name was Daniel. It started innocently. It always does. A chance meeting at an event she almost didn't attend. A brief conversation that lingered longer than it should have. He wasn't supposed to stand out, but he did. Not because of status or wealth, but because he didn't treat her like everyone else did. He didn't see her as a name. He saw her, and that was dangerous. At first, she tried to ignore it. She had rules, expectations, a life that didn't leave room for unpredictable emotions. But Daniel wasn't part of that world. He didn't follow their rules. He didn't care about reputation or image. And somehow, that made everything feel real for the first time. Their conversations became longer, their meetings more frequent. What started as coincidence slowly turned into intention. And before she realized it, she had fallen in love. But love, in her world, wasn't simple, because Daniel wasn't just the wrong man. He was the forbidden one. He came from a background her family would never accept. No influence, no connections, no place in the carefully structured life she had been raised to live. Being seen with him wasn't just frowned upon, it was unacceptable. So they kept it hidden. Late-night calls, secret meetings, stolen moments in places no one would think to look. Every second they spent together felt like borrowed time, like something fragile that could shatter if exposed. But the more they hid, the deeper it became. And secrets like that don't stay buried forever. There were signs. There are always signs. A missed dinner, a distracted expression, a message seen at the wrong moment. Small things that didn't seem like much until someone started paying attention. Her mother noticed first. Not directly, not enough to accuse, but enough to question. Is there something you're not telling me? She smiled, lied, dismissed it, but doubt had already been planted. And in a family where image is everything, doubt is dangerous. Still, she didn't stop. She couldn't. Because with Daniel, she wasn't living a scripted life. She was choosing something for herself, something real, something hers. And that made it worth the risk. Until that night. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. They had planned it carefully. A quiet evening, away from attention, a place where no one knew them, no expectations, no pressure. Just the two of them, existing in a world that didn't judge their love. But plans don't always go the way we expect, because someone followed her. She didn't notice at first. Why would she? She had been careful, always careful. But this time, it wasn't enough. The moment they stepped out together, laughing, unguarded, it was already too late. A camera flash, quick, sharp, unforgiving. And in that instant, everything changed. She froze. Daniel turned. But whoever was there was already gone. They didn't need to stay. They had what they came for. Proof. The next morning, The silence was different, heavy, uncomfortable, waiting. She knew something was wrong before anyone said a word. The calls started early, urgent, unusual. And when she walked into the living room, her entire world shifted. Her family was already there, waiting. No smiles, no greetings, just a single photograph placed on the table. She didn't need to pick it up. She already knew what it was. The image was clear, too clear. There was no denying it, no explaining it away. It was her and Daniel, together, close, intimate, real, exposed. "What is this?" her father asked. But it wasn't a question, it was a judgment. She tried to speak, to explain, to defend what they had. But the words felt small compared to the weight of what that image represented. This wasn't just about love anymore. It was about reputation, power, control, and she had just threatened all of it. "You will end this," her mother said, her voice calm but cold. Not please, not we need to talk, a command, as if what she felt didn't matter, as if Daniel didn't matter, but he did. And that's where everything broke, because for the first time in her life, she refused. "I won't." The room went silent. That wasn't something she was supposed to say. Not to them. Not ever. And in that moment, she didn't just choose Daniel. She chose herself. But choices have consequences. And hers came fast. Within days, everything around her began to change. Her phone was monitored. Her movements restricted. People she trusted suddenly became distant. Conversations stopped when she entered rooms. It was subtle but suffocating. They weren't punishing her openly. They were controlling her quietly. And Daniel, he disappeared. No calls, no messages, no trace. At first, she thought he was scared, that maybe the pressure had gotten to him, that he had walked away to protect himself. But something didn't feel right, because Daniel wasn't the type to disappear without a word. Not like that. Not after everything they had been through. So she searched, and what she found changed everything. He hadn't left. He had been forced out, threatened, silenced, removed from her life in the most calculated way possible. A warning had been delivered, clear and final. Stay away or face consequences that couldn't be undone. And Daniel chose to protect her by leaving. When she realized the truth, it broke something inside her, not just because she lost him, but because she understood what her world was capable of. Love, to them, wasn't something to protect. It was something to control. Weeks passed. The story never made it public. The photo was buried, handled, erased before it could spread. To the outside world, nothing had happened. Everything still looked perfect. But inside, nothing was the same. She had seen the truth, felt it, lived it. And once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. She never saw Daniel again. No closure, no goodbye, just silence. But sometimes silence speaks louder than anything else. Because even though they separated them, even though they erased every trace of what they had, they couldn't erase what it meant. She had fallen in love with the wrong man, and she paid the price. But the real question isn't whether it was worth it. It's this: if given the chance, would she choose differently? Or would she risk everything all over again?